These days, one of the most easy and definitive ways to teach and learn cultural orientation is through the medium of mass communication. These various media, as we will see, are more far-reaching than one another. The electronic media has a major advantage over other mass media. They reach a mass audience within a very short period. And because of the power and potent audiovisual nature of the medium, it leaves on the audience impressions so vivid and lasting that it would take something as potent to unlearn whatever impression that was made. The whole world until today still cringes at the horrors of the Jewish Holocaust perpetuated by Hitler and his generals during the Third Reich. It should, however, be noted that anti-Semitism had in the 1930s and 40s been propagated through feature-length documentaries, serving as a gradual poisoning of the minds of the German people, a culmination of which is the brutal persecution of the Jews. Also in the Soviet Socialist Republic, film and cinema was used as a means of influencing public attitudes towards nationalist causes, while the Spaniards during the Spanish Civil War also employed documentary films to make humanitarian pleas for the war-ravaged country. The electronic mass media clearly wields formidable enough influence over the receiving public to be taken seriously. Therefore, for the common good of a nation to be safeguarded, whatever information is fed through film and other electronic media must, as a matter of duty, be something that can be considered healthy. It is this task of ensuring media sanity and safeguarding the national psyche that the National Film and Video Censors Board is at present saddled with. The National Film and Video Censors Board, as it is today, is not the first censorship board in the country. When was the first Censors Board created, and how did it regulate the affairs of film producers?
The board came into existence by an act of Parliament of 1993, but only started fully in June in '94. It started first in Lagos and then moved to Abuja a few years later. So that has been the background of the board. But before that time, censorship wasn't really done. Movies were not really classified. It was left pretty much to the whims of the individual producer or marketer to decide what they did. I don't think Living in Bondage was classified by this board, at least at that time. But if you go back to the 50s, there's always been a federal office of film, a film office, censorship office by the federal government, going back to the old colonial government and even up to the 63 and so on and so forth. So we've had a history of film censorship because of the particular nature and importance of film to the development of any society. So we've had it, but this particular one, the present incarnation of this board, came to being by Act of Parliament or Decree 85 of 1993, which is now an Act of Parliament.
Other government acts concerning film regulation in the country include the 1963 Cinematograph Act and the 1964 regulations. Both the 63 and 64 Acts and regulations respectively were repealed when in 1993, through a decree of the then federal military government, the National Film and Video Censors Board was established as the scheduled agent of the federal government. And like any other baby organization, the board would at this stage be seething with enthusiasm to achieve its objectives.
What a travesty. $500 million to spend on stockpiling arms and weapons of destruction when 60% of our population lacks clean water.
However, one might ask, is there any need for an establishment of such a board as this?
It's important that literacy is crucial. You and I have learned to read and write. But a lot of people, including adults, are not media literate. That is, they're not aware of the messages that are contained in not only films but advertisement product, television programs, and so on and so forth. So it's important that we raise that consciousness, especially amongst young children, so that they begin to imbibe. The world today is moving, to use the phrase, becoming a global village. Communities are shrinking, cultures are clashing every day, and at the forefront of this culture clash are the media industries, film and television. That is the vanguard of the culture clash today.
Worldwide, there has to be a board that regulates the content of what goes out to homes and what people are watching, because, of course, the power of the media is very strong. So we must be careful of what goes out. It's very, very relevant.
We have mentioned that the function of the National Film and Video Censors Board is to safeguard the interest of the public in terms of what they are fed through the various films and videos being churned out by our producers.
The Constitution stipulated that there are a number of days for the sale of film.
Movie making is an art, and like any other forms of art, it imitates life, expressing what it sees in real life. Would it not amount to artistic gag if this form of art were to be subjected to censorship, deciding what or not to be said?
You've been tampering with my heater with your friends again?
I'm beginning to get worried because of the excesses of the preview board and the kind of judgment they pass on filmmakers. For instance, things that I've never had in my entire career. And for instance, I understand that your prologue must not be more than 4 minutes. And as a filmmaker, I think that this is curtailing creativity and stamping on freedom of expression. As a filmmaker, it depends on the film itself, or the theme of the film, or the kind of style that I choose to adopt as an artist. If I think that the best style of telling the story is to have a prologue of 85 minutes and then have the 5 minutes as the movie, that's how the film has lent itself. You know, so it's very difficult to apply draconian laws to issues of creativity.
No, there's nothing like artistic gag. Yes, granted, filmmaking is an artistic venture. It's a creative venture. But you have to do it within the rules of law establishing, you know, so that you don't, because it's an artistic venture, you don't go and start slapping another person. You are not given that freedom. Everybody has his own rights. You don't encroach into another person's right or start condemning another person because you have the freedom to be artistically creative.
Yes, we've all had cause to be dissatisfied with the classification that we've got. We've also had cause to feel that some of the comments are inappropriate and unnecessary, and that some of them infringe on our fundamental rights as Nigerians, our fundamental rights as artists and our fundamental rights as filmmakers. However, the challenge is the avenue for dialogue, like I keep saying. If you get a classification you're not satisfied with, and you get comments you think are inappropriate, what channel is open to you? And I think there's a very, very wide channel for dialogue. Talk to the level of the Director General, whom I know, I want to believe he's very open, and he is an open person.
I don't agree. I remember a couple of things which we as guilds then had to intervene. There was a particular film that was shot about how some students in primary school were flogging, and they tied up their teacher and started flogging their teacher. The film was stopped by the board. Yes, I as a parent will not even support my child to see the film. My kids are a bit young. If they even see that film, maybe one morning they will tie me on the bed and flog me the way they saw. So when you say limit creativity, there's some kind of things you do. It doesn't make sense. You look at our peculiar environment, our society. You don't have to go and shoot naked women. We don't have naked women. If you go to the beach in Nigeria, you don't see naked women walking on the beach. But if you go to Florida, you see naked women walking on the beach. So in their society, it's normal. A child sees a naked woman, it's normal. But if a child sees a naked woman, yeah, he's scared. So when you say creativity, I don't think the board needs only two ways as limited creativity. You can be very creative with your camera, you can be very creative with your artistic content, you can be very creative with your script. So creativity is a total complex of the whole film. So when you say the board limits creativity, people say because they didn't allow them to show naked girls. I've seen films, I think there are films that have been shown with violence where if you're making a film on a wall, there's no classification board or censors board in quote anywhere in the world that will say you shouldn't use guns, you shouldn't use bullets. But if there's no reason for you to even show guns in a particular scene, and they say, and I don't think I've even stopped anybody from using guns and bullets, if I must be sincere. But it must be relevant to what we are doing. Robbers cannot come into your house and shoot you with water. They must use guns. And when they shoot you, blood must come out from your body. So these are basic things.
Strong and the huge impact and the strong influence of the media, especially the modern day television and film content, is such a significant factor in our national well-being that we feel that we cannot allow anyone under the guise of expressing themselves get to the point where that expression will lead to problems and deny and may even lead to people dying. So what we would like to see is that producers and filmmakers, while exercising their freedom, understand the impact of television and movies and bear that in mind during the course of their work.
Hey, stop it. Stop it. What happened? I said, what happened?
The danger here is that innocent children who may vicariously imbibe the values espoused in it could view a harmful film carefully packaged. What would be the reason why children and adolescents are so susceptible to messages in the electronic media?
Since the emergence of this particular form of broadcasting, there has been, or this particular kind of media, there's been widespread use of it. Different researches have been carried out, not only in Nigeria, in the United States, in the UK, and in other countries. And it's quite clear that electronic media has a huge impact on society, and more significantly on the well-being of children, that is the adolescent.
When you hear action, you run around, and you run into you okay, go. You run into that place off short because you just stop there. I see they were there waiting for you. I will not be on them. It's wrong.
Most creative persons will feel offended when they are ordered to exploit some assumed important scenes out of their well-packaged movie.
You know one thing, there's one thing about crime. We're not just like teaching people how to smoke marijuana, how to carry the gun. But if you didn't show the crime, you wouldn't know how to, resolve it, because there's always after effects. No matter what you do in life, no matter how big a criminal you are, there's always the last day. So at least this will teach our youth that criminals don't normally end well. It's just a matter of time.
Anybody that allows his children to watch a film below that Censors Board rented 18, I don't know what the person has in mind. It's for adult, matured minds.
Keeping faith. Who said that film cannot be presented for the Oscar? Lots of promotions equally done works. We've been to festivals. And this one received attention. Why are they all running here now? Last year we had a convention in Hollywood, in the heart of the Hilton Hotel in Hollywood, about Nigerian films. Why the red carpet for the Nigerian film if we have not done it to date?
In every misunderstanding, there is an understanding. Where there is a smooth relationship, there might be no truth. What could have been the barrier between the stakeholders and the National Films and Video Censors Board so far?
Well, I think that the procedure of previewing our films is very faulty. I see no reason why decision could not be made on the zonal centers, like Lagos for instance, where you have to go through the preview board, screen your film, comment, ask you to make changes, and after that send the film to Abuja again. I think that this is creating unnecessary bottleneck, and it's a waste of time. I think that the zonal board should be given the responsibility of assessing the film and giving the proper classification.
For censor films in the Lagos office of the Southwest Zone, the same thing goes on in Onitsha office of the Southeastern Zone and all the other zones. And these films are all sent to verification, for standardization.
There are lots of conflicts, yes, in classification, in grading, in the attempts of some of these screeners who are overzealous to edit your film for you, because it's like football. You have the armchair critics who are watching the game and they think they play better than Okocha. But when you tell them to go and play, they might collapse on the field. So we understand their exuberance.
Yes, then I would say that it's all based on false assumption. Because let me start by saying that we have zonal offices. And each of the zones, all the officers there are all graduates. And each of the zones have people that understands the language and culture in that locale, in censorship, and most all of them are graduates, either mass comm or theater arts. Coming down to Abuja, which is the headquarters, where we have the verification panel. We have 2 verification panels for now, and all the officers in that panel is either they read sociology, theater arts, and mass communication. And in each of the panel, we have somebody that understands the language. I'm talking of Igbo, the major 3 tribes, Igbo, Yoruba, and Hausa.
Some of the issues we had complained about in the past was about the quality of the personnel. undertaking the preview, who had a problem with that you cannot go and get a youth copper to be assessing a film made by a professional who's been in the industry for almost 30 years.
Again, another problem we had with the last DG was even the issue of a style of symbols. We had a calabash called Ritual 18. You had the one with cutlass, 18 violence. We felt it was being absurd because nowhere in the world where you begin to use symbols like that. If it's 18, it's 18. If you're above 18, you can watch any film. But at 18 in Nigeria, you're an adult. If you commit a crime at 18, you go to prison. But under 18, you go to juvenile home. So automatically, if a film is 18, you don't have to put Rituals 18 or Cutlass 18 and all that. It's one of the issues that even most of the filmmakers then felt very bad at. Why should you just go and start putting such things?
Anything that refers to our cultural heritage is branded as ritual or voodoo, and therefore does not deserve to be seen. And to me, this is a fallacy. I think that was the point we were trying to make as far as Agogo was concerned. You know, we have to be seen as partners in progress.
Isn't that the challenges we face at the Censors Board? I mean, what do you do in that circumstance? By the way, I would like to know the title of that movie. Not for anything, just to know how what decision we took. 3 years old. You see, values, as far as the Censors Board is concerned, and I agree with you that really 3 areas. There's Christian ones, there's Islamic values, and there's the traditional animist values. As I've said yesterday, with regards to, because the real major bone of contention is not really the Christian or the Islamic values. It is more to do with our animist traditional values that we have problems with. We at the Censors Board, and I've said to my, there's a lovely dance from the part of the country where I'm from. It's called Umkwawabo. I mean, the dance, young ladies dance, you know, topless. Young men and women see them, it's nothing, no big deal. So if you see it in a movie, and Mr. Aboa and co say, you know, a sponge, and we say expunge, expunge, expunge. How do we deal with that kind of thing? You know, so it must be in context. Now, my own take of it is that, if that particular scene is in a movie, and someone is not showing me a close-up of the chest, the shots do not linger for more than 2 seconds, it's fine. If you look at it in context, the picture is composed such that you see that this movie is not about bare-chested women dancing. It's more about the story, and then bare-chested women, there's part of it. But, so, you know, and we've tried to define it by what is the impact. You should look at the overall impact of that movie. Is it something that promotes ritual worship or whatever? And who are the likely audiences for that movie? So it's a whole holistic thing that we look at. These are the trends these days, because everybody's clamoring for do classification, don't do censorship. But we forget that classification imposes a lot of responsibility, not only on us, the Censors Board, but also on the filmmakers themselves.
The National Film and Video Censors Board is facing a big task of reducing insanity inculcated through our movies, and at the same time reducing the wrong information sold out about our lovely nation. But how does the board manage the meager resources available to it? These and other challenges in the next edition.
How are you? Did you enjoy your outing with mommy? Good. Let me look at you.
Hello, dear.
Hello.
How was your day?
Okay, how was yours?
Good. What are you reading?
The newspaper.
I want to have a kid doing.
Watching movies.
Ah, yeah, movies. You go back in the room. Excuse me. What? Sweetie, what is this the children are watching?
Movie.
What sort of movie is this? Are they supposed to be watching this type of movie? Are you kids? Now, how many times have I told you guys not to watch movies above your age? No. Okay. Sweetie.
Don't come to me.
Jerry, I will. Because if we're too busy to monitor our children today, we won't be too busy to be responsible for whatever they become tomorrow.
You're right. You're right.